Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into superhero movies, blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by friend of the show, Leo Rydell from Geekly Goods, the YouTube channel that he runs himself. Does a fantastic job. It's been a while since he's been on the show, but today we're here to talk about the season finale of Moon Knight, episode 6, which is titled Gods and Monsters, that is now streaming on Disney Plus. And actually, the other day, I think when it dropped yesterday, it just said episode 6 for the longest time. I'm like, what is the name of this
Somebody
episode?
wasn't doing their job, man. They just were like, leave it at episode 6. Somebody forgot, man. Like, there's somebody sitting over there on that keyboard ready to go when the episode drops.
Right.
And they just uploaded that shit and left it there.
They were like, all right, that's enough.
Somebody got reprimanded last night. Like,
right.
Episode 6.
It's like when they accidentally uploaded the Zack Snyder's Justice League when you click on, what was it, Tom and Jerry?
That was a mess.
That was
an absolute hot mess.
That was so funny.
What movie was? Oh, Tom and Jerry. I'm like,
yeah.
That's a mess. I will admit, I hurried my ass over to the TV to see if I could
was at the gym. It was
peek.
too late. By the time I came home, it already I got took down.
Oh, dude, it was like, as soon as somebody posted on Twitter, like, oh my God, they put up that, I rushed downstairs to my television, like looking on HBO Max. It was already done. Like I think it was like the post came out probably about 10, 15 minutes after the error happened. I'm like, damn, they got on that quick.
Very, very fast. Like insanely fast.
So quick.
Man, I mean, I wonder if someone was like, okay, we're inside of the... They haven't clicked out of it. Will it still work? We're just going to keep letting it play until it just... That would have been pretty funny.
God, man, that was a mess.
One of these days, it'll hopefully happen again. Because, I mean, studios mess up all the time.
I mean, leaks are happening. Like Doctor Strange leaked.
Man, at least no Moon Knight leaks happen. At least not that we know of. So that's really good. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audible, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we'd love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. Again, that's Optix with an X, or email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. For everyone out there listening, just to let you guys know, this is a little bit more of a shorter episode, a little bit pressed for time here today, but that's okay. We're going to give our best, analysis that we can for this season finale, I guess it'd be season finale, not series finale. We don't know yet, but Leo, are you ready to dive in to episode 6 analysis, this review?
Absolutely, man. Look, I really liked this episode a lot, but I'll wait. I'll let you get started. But man, I like this episode a lot, man. I think I might be a little bit of a hot take there. Like, I think the consensus is kind of like, oh, good, but not like fantastic. I'm like, look, my man, like compared to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even WandaVision's ending was a little rough.
Well, I mean, we just saw the ending of WandaVision's. It was called Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness.
Amen. For real.
Or a continuation of it, episode 11 coming soon. Oh, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this introduction to Moon Knight, episode 6.
I'm losing it.
Real catch you are. You're bloody useless, Stevie.
Stephen. I can't tell the difference between life and dreams.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back with our episode 6 review of Moon Knight. Again, this is the season finale, episode 6, which is titled Gods and Monsters. The creator of the show, Doug Moench, and stars Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, Calamawy, and more. And the synopsis for this specific episode, which I took from IMDb. It just says Marc and Steven search through their memories to find their truth or become left behind. But that sounds like episode 5's. But
yeah, I think that's episode 5.
But like, it was underneath episode. IMDb has been very inconsistent lately because when I had Amanda come on for Multiverse of Madness, it was an older synopsis. Prior to their reshoots for Multiverse of Madness, and it was about Wanda joining forces with Doctor Strange. And I was like, that's it.
Maybe they were kept in the dark as well. I mean, I don't know. Like,
same thing with Massive Talent, because originally it had a lot to do with Quentin Tarantino in that movie, and that's what the synopsis was showing. So I think we're just not going to use these. I'm going to double check these synopsises from IMDb.
Yeah, gonna have to get another source, bruh.
Exactly. All right, Rotten Tomatoes, what you got? TMDB. Let's go there instead. But for all the listeners out there, we're going to be doing our initial reactions for this. We'll get a little bit into spoilers for you guys as well, and name any type of Easter eggs that we've noticed throughout this episode. Then we'll get into final thoughts and ratings. So I'm actually going to pass it over to Leo so he can give his initial reactions for Moon Knight episode 6.
Sure. Yeah. Just like initial thoughts. I mean, walking out of it, I really, really liked it a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. There wasn't one episode of Moon Knight that I thought was bad necessarily. I thought it as a series as a whole, very solid. I really enjoyed it. I think there are a couple episodes that are weaker than others, but these last 2 closing ones were very strong. I think especially, it had a similar rhythm to WandaVision, where you have this episode that dives very deeply into the character. They do this a lot too. It was the same with the Falcon and Winter Soldier when you had Isaiah Bradley and Sam talk in the penultimate episode. It really dives into the character and peels back the layers of an onion and really dives into who they actually are and the psychology of their trauma. And I liked exploring that with Moon Knight, how we figured out Marc created Steven as an escape from his mother's abuse. I really like closing it out with this episode. The issue I have with this episode, though, is I think there could have been one more, and potentially the stuff that happened with Layla, the stuff that happened with Layla, I think could have been its own episode, to be honest, because I think we kind of rushed a couple of elements of this episode, like especially the mental hospital stuff. I think that's still something I'm still not fully grasping onto. And I think they're playing with us a little bit when it comes to that. They're kind of trying to have us in between worlds and have us figure out, okay, which one is reality and which one's not. But that really throws me off. But otherwise, I mean, just reaction wise, let me get to like a reaction. I really enjoyed it. And I think Oscar Isaac is such a great actor that he gets you to care about 2 different characters as one guy. Like, seriously, I felt so much connection to both Marc and Steven. And I love that the series starts with Steven, and this was such a great comeback moment for him. It really pulled around full circle, because you think about it when we get into episodes 2 and 3, okay, Steven's gone, we're following Marc, and it's like, well, I kind of got attached to Steven in the beginning. Like, we really start with him, and we're like ingested into his life, and then for Marc to come up was a little bit what's the word I'm searching for? It was just a little bit brash, I think. It was just kind of like, whoa, like Marc's here, and now is it whose body is it? And I love the way they played it out. But this was great. I mean, the action sequences were awesome. I really wanted more out of this series, but what we got here was awesome. I loved Layla's outfit. I loved making her an avatar as well. I thought that was cool. And I hope that she does stay the Scarlet Scarab. I'm assuming that she's going to be the Scarlet Scarab in the 2nd season, and her Moon Knight are probably going to run the streets together. Down for that, man. Yeah. I really like this episode, though. And that post-credit, I'll wait until we get into that, but holy crap, that was awesome.
Oh, yeah, there is. I'm sorry. That's your profile pic. Is that?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. I was making sure. I'm like, did I miss it? Like, because I've done that before with a few shows. I'm like, dang it, now I gotta go back.
WandaVision episode, the episode before the penultimate.
Yep.
I totally missed that
forgot
one
it.
the first watch. I was like, oh. People were like, "Did you see the post credit?" I was like, "Sure didn't."
Yep, I saw it. And you're like, wait, what post credit talking about? It's like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So my thoughts pretty much echo yours. I really did like this episode. I think Marvel, their big strength is usually the penultimate episodes, but I think this is one of the few finales that really stuck its landing. I do agree with you. I think they could have used at least one, maybe even two more episodes to kind of flesh out things here and there. We actually learned that, there were supposed to be two, I guess, like crossover or mentions to the larger Marvel universe, but they didn't want to go that route. We see more of Moon Knight in this episode than we typically do. I know that's always been like one of the biggest issues that people have, and it's a valid reason, but I still love it all the same. This is probably, it's taking that number 2 slot like so far for the series finale. I felt like it was a bit rushed, especially, with everything with Layla, like we said, or like you said, excuse me. And I liked it just fine. I had a great time with it. We see everything with like Ammit finally. And, the battle of the gods, everything that kind of happens. I'm trying to like tiptoe around a few things, but just for initial reactions. But, we get a lot of answers, questions answered, but it definitely does leave room for a season 2. And I hope they go down that route. It would be crazy not to. But overall, I really liked it, everything, just even with Arthur Harrow and, kind of having us like just switch between all these different realities and perspectives with Jake, well, not Jake, but Steven and Marc. And even though they are the same person, I really loved how now we know that, like we said, like you said, Steven is a kind of like a defense mechanism. Which is, it's very sad, but like they're still, even though they are the same person, it's kind of like they're twins.
Yeah, they're like two different characters, totally.
Yeah, completely two different characters. And it's, I thought the season finale did its job. Kind of felt a little weird jobbing it on Star Wars Day, but like it is what it is. But overall, like I really enjoyed it. I really hope we get a season 2. I would love to go more into like, the Egyptian god mythos with this stuff. Like, much like with like the Northmen, like I love talking about like, the Roman gods, Greek gods, like all these different cultures when it comes to like, their religions and like the gods that they serve. And, we finally get our first Egyptian superhero. So, which is really, really awesome with the Scarlet Scarab. And it's different. Like it's just as it's different enough to like, okay, like WandaVision is like phenomenal, but like this is different. Like this entire series has been different, and I really
very unique. Very unique. It's kind of weird that they advertised it almost as Marvel's or Disney Plus's answer to Daredevil. Like it kind of felt that way when looking at trailers and because they really shoehorned in those action moments in the suit a lot. But I'm actually glad and refreshed that it didn't end up feeling like a carbon copy. Like, let's be real. Daredevil for me is the greatest Marvel show, period, live action Marvel show ever. So it's hard to top that. And I think if it would have just echoed Daredevil and went that route, it wouldn't have been as unique. It would have just been like, oh, okay, well, by the time we hit episode 6, I'm ready to go. But I love exploring the mental health. I love exploring DID and just diving deep into that. And I know Oscar Isaac has openly spoke about how much they actually care about that and how they're really trying to portray it in a realistic manner. I do want to bring up real quick, there is a breaking exclusive from the direct with Jeremy Slater, who was on Moon Knight. Apparently the Eternals were supposed to appear in Moon Knight. Yeah, according to this quote here from the direct. So I think that's kind of interesting, but you know what? You said it too about other potential cameos, and I'm actually glad they reeled that back and just let Moon Knight be Moon Knight. This was like a Marvel property, and what's crazy is it's like, okay, you've got Multiverse of Madness, the complete opposite, and then you've got Moon Knight that's so self-contained. I think I kind of like the shows staying to the shows. Like, I'm cool with a quick cameo or a reference or whatever. I mean, Wakanda was referenced.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, like Black Panther was referenced in the ancestral plane. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, stuff like that, I'm so down for. Easter eggs dropped. I don't know if we need to drop in like Ghost Rider in Moon Knight season 1. You know what I mean? I don't know if we need all that, but
like, hey, it's a reminder that it's connected to the MCU, right. And that's what made Daredevil so great, is that it focused on Daredevil and his surrounding cast. We knew it was connected. We didn't need all these constant reminders.
Right, and Moon Knight's a brand new character. Give us a season at least to really get to know this character.
Yeah. And this kind of always goes back to like, I guess you could call it the 6-episode arc. Some people like it, some people don't. I wish they were a little bit more flexible with that, to be completely honest, because it doesn't seem organic enough.
It didn't. I think it felt right for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and
Loki.
And Loki, I think, well,
I mean, I like
Loki. I will be honest with you, Loki, the first half of Loki.
Really?
I don't really like
okay.
that much.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, maybe if we got 2 more episodes, it would have been a little better for me. So I think I feel the same about Loki, like maybe that needed 8 as well. But I'm like, okay, this absolutely, I think, needed 8. Because you brought it up. It's just, the pace is quick and there's a lot to accomplish. So, and they got it all done. They stuck their landing, but it does move quick.
Yeah.
That it's at the sacrifice of the battle being long. It's at the sacrifice of diving a little bit deeper into philosophies, like how much Harold like believes in this. And like when Ammit was like summoned and like there was that scene between him and Ammit, I thought that was like super cool. I was like, okay, I kind of wanted like a little more of that.
Yeah.
And I think there were just like a lot of opportunities where I was like, I want more that aren't going to happen in season 2. Well, definitely not with Harrow. But I don't know about Layla and all that. Like, who knows where they're going to go with season 2. But I get they're trying to set up. They're trying to, you know what they're doing, man? They're casting the line, trying to reel us back in for that next season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like that's what you got to do. Like that's always a good sign of, people are genuinely interested and they want to see what happens next. I mean, I do think the week-to-week thing is amazing. It's just some of the Marvel shows feel like TV shows. Like WandaVision feels like a TV show. For the most part, it does. I mean, when it gets towards, the latter half, it's more of like a cinematic event, which is fine. It's just, I mean, because, it's that Marvel money. They had more CG. They had more like CGI. They spent more money for CGI for WandaVision than I think they did it was either Infinity War or Endgame, which is crazy. Like, yeah, like I remember reading something about
I didn't know that.
I remember reading something about the budget being bigger. Because, I mean, think about all...
It was that Agatha episode, bro. Remember she was in the past and there was all the witches? I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of CGI.
Like, just throughout everything that they did throughout that show, it's like, it's phenomenal. But, yeah, for Moon Knight, I mean, I love it all the same. But let's quickly get into spoilers here for everyone, just so we can kind of talk about, actually talk about it without not talking about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your first spoiler warning here for Moon Knight episode 6, titled Gods and Monsters. Again, that is your second spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Disney Plus. So, man, I don't even know. So for this episode, I guess for the spoilers, I guess we could talk about Layla being the Scarlet Scarab. We kind of already mentioned it, but and then Jake Lockley, that's what I want. Jake Lockley was finally revealed to be in this episode, because Oscar Isaac said that he was going to be in that episode. We didn't know how, but I like how they set it up, because if they would have just shoehorned him in to the last episode, they're like, oh, there's another personality, and it's like, what?
Right, but he's like hinted at throughout the entire show, and I'm like, okay, that I loved, because remember it was episode 3, I think, where he was fighting on the rooftop with those guys.
Yep.
I just remember when like he like lost it, and then like all of a sudden these guys are like dead. I'm like I remember seeing that. I was like, I don't think that's Steven, bro.
Yeah, because we were led to believe that it was Steven during at least the first like 2 episodes, because They're like, oh, like they're not showing us that, which is fine. But yeah, it's the craziest thing ever. I mean, I like how they added him in though.
I love it. I think that this was like a seamless way to add another personality in it.
Yeah.
And also it comes as a pleasant surprise, I think, because like, yeah, you have those little trippy moments where, yeah, like everybody around Marc or Steven is like dead. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
And then I think it was the next episode that Steven asked Marc, like, was that you? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I was just like, we got it on it.
Yeah.
So I like that this personality is like different. Like this is the one that's like, I like the killing. I like because I think you need, like, it's like, okay, out of all three of them, one of them has to be like unhinged. Like there's one of them that's
I wonder how Jake Lockley came to be as well, because that's also
Yep. I want to know that too, because
that's very
Marc and Steven don't know.
Yeah. It's like, bro, it's your body. Like, yeah, like they don't. That's very interesting.
I'm so curious. I'm like, how? Like, and in the comics, like Jake Lockley is like a taxi driver who collects information for them. So it makes sense at that end.
Yeah, the ending. Khonshu was looking fly. He was sitting in that.
Bro, Khonshu was like, fly, bro. I'm like, oh, he got the suit on the way to the Met Gala?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Looking clean.
Looking sharp. Super, super sharp.
What did you think about Taweret and being becoming the Scarlet Scarab and Layla and her
I loved
Avatar
it.
and
I loved
liked that a lot.
And especially when the girl kind of asked like, oh, like, are you an Egyptian superhero? And she says yes. Like,
that's so cool, dude.
I thought that was just like, I mean, it's such a small moment, but like it's so important at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
this is why representation matters.
Yeah, like I mean, I've loved Layla throughout this entire journey. Like, she kind of had like the Laura Croft vibe that Devin was mentioning for sure. That's definitely his favorite character for sure as well. So it's like, I was like, yeah, I just loved her. I mean, she knows what she wants, and it's like, we have some layers there with her father and whatnot, and it's. Mm-hmm. It was great.
There's more to explore with her, and I like that. I really made Calamawy, great job. I thought that her and Oscar played off of each other so well. I mean, they felt really like the energy just felt so authentic and good. Like I just really liked them as a duo together. And that's all the MCU shows have that duo. You've got Bucky and Sam, Wanda and Vision, Loki and Sylvie. Like, this is another dynamic duo in the MCU now, and they were awesome. What did you think about the fight scene and how quick it went though? I was like,
it was so quick, but it was so good. I'm like, we finally get that. I was like, this. I'm like, now this feels like something I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of, like, for sure, because they were kicking. Taking names.
Like freaking kaiju Khonshu versus kaiju Ammit.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Ammit looks really great. It being an alligator, and like we actually see like Arthur ready to give up his life for this Egyptian god.
Yeah,
and it's like he was ready, and she's like, oh well, you freed me. So I was like, he's like, no. I'm like, Arthur, shut up. Like, shut up and just do what the god says. Right,
yeah,
exactly.
that is the very definition of a religious zealot. Like, I was like, dang, Ethan Hawke is acting his butt off. And I really like how vulnerable the character became in that moment, because you could clearly see that the goal and intention was reached. Mm-hmm. I gotta say, though, I gotta call this out. The purple blasts that come out of his staff look bad, bro.
I thought it was okay, but like it's always, the big glowy thing that has to, like, it's the end of the world kind of thing, the blue light in the sky. Right. It's like, we have to get rid of the blue light.
Got a little mustache twirly in the end there.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. Well,
I did like too, there was an exchange between Ammit and Khonshu where it was like they have the same intention, but it's just like the case of Killmonger and Black Panther, a couple other MCU villains and movies. It's like they have the same intention as the hero, but the way they go about it is villainous.
Yeah.
And Ammit was like, well, I don't even let them become, like, I don't even give them the chance to become the thugs. And it's like, whoa, like, you're just killing people just to kill them.
Yeah.
Whereas Khonshu's like, I'm protecting the people of the night, you know?
Yeah,
I
really
philosophy
like that.
difference.
Yeah, it's like, they both want the same thing, but they go, different ways about it. And it's like, that's, I mean, like you see it all the time in politics too, as many times as, people kind of go back and forth between political parties. It's important to remember, like, everyone wants what's best for, whatever country you live in. But, people just have different ways of going about it. Some ways make more sense than others, but, it's, yeah, but it's all about perspective.
100%, bro.
Yeah, but I really wanted to quickly mention the exchange between Khonshu and Layla. She was like fighting not to be his avatar. Mm-hmm. But and then she becomes RX, like, just okay. I thought it was kind of funny.
What I like about this series is that Khonshu was kind of the source of the problems.
He was.
Like, he's like Marc's biggest problem. Like, he's a weight on Marc's back. And they dive into it in the penultimate episode. Like, I can save your life if you become a creature of the night, essentially. If you become Rise my Moon Knight, and we've seen him come back to life twice. And it's like, dang, they're kind of shackled to him because it's like he saved their life, and then in exchange they're fighting crime for him, but he's the source of their problems. Like, he's an issue.
He is,
like clearly Marc and Steven don't want to be his avatar.
Yeah, even like Steven like points out, he's like he's using you, like that type situation. So it's there's so much that goes into. I really hope we get a season 2. I really do.
We got to, man. We got to. But I don't. I will admit the conversation has not been as large around Moon Knight, and I gotta real quick just call out Disney. This was a bad date to premiere your finale.
It was
like it's
Star Wars Day. It's Star Wars Day.
Yeah, like that. Okay, and that's one gripe I'm having right now is like Kenobi should have been coming out today.
It should have been yesterday. Yeah.
That should have just dropped yesterday. Disney Plus first episode. I'm glad we got a trailer, but I mean, come on, man. They should have timed Kenobi. Had Moon Knight in like late April, last episode of Moon Knight.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. They're not trying to bleed everything, but it's like, I mean, you should have foresaw this.
Because think about it. May the 4th. Okay, it's Star Wars Day. It's a universal. It's damn near a holiday at this point.
It really is.
Everybody's coming out with their Star Wars cosplays, movies. We're trying to stop Star Wars that day. So then to have Moon Knight come out and then on the eve of Multiverse of Madness, it's just like
it was too much. It was too much Disney going around. Everything was bleeding into each other.
Yeah, man.
Way too much. I was like, Multiverse of Madness probably could have been pushed back a week. Same thing with Moon Knight. And they could have just postponed the season finale for like a week. Because it's not because Miss Marvel isn't coming out until like what, June? So it's like,
I think Miss Marvel's June or July.
Yeah, and like, I mean, Kenobi's not coming out until what, the 24th or whatever it is. Same day as Stranger Things. That's gonna be crazy. These people need to coordinate. That's
gonna be a heck of a day.
These studios need to coordinate with this stuff. It's like, listen. But I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, man. I mean, just another. I mean, it's a great episode. I mean, I really hope we get a season 2. I wanted to pass it back over to Leo so we can give his final thoughts and ratings, and then we'll close. I'll give mine, and then we'll kind of just close on out.
All right, man. Well, yeah. Look, I really enjoyed this episode. Oh, the post credit was awesome. I mean, I just loved that. Like, first and foremost, I like that Marc and Steven did not sacrifice their morality just to like live up to Moon Knight and the goal that he had, live up to Khonshu and the goal he had for getting rid of Harrow. So I love that there was not a break in their morality. Like, they did not allow themselves to kill Harrow, even though he did all that wrongdoing. It was like, still, that's close against who they are. Yeah, like they weren't gonna do it. And I like that Khonshu's like, oh, you two won't? All right, no problem. Okay, meet my friend Jake Lockley. I thought that was just so smooth to seriously like Sopranos Harold's ass, because it was like, okay, he's just grand seeming crazy guy and just to be this like over the top religious zealot and then to die in the most simple way, I thought was like really cool.
Yeah.
And Khonshu in the suit was great. But the episode overall, look, I loved Layla's costume. That was awesome. Scarlet Scarab looks so cool.
Those wings, bro. She just
so dope. DC, take notes. Yes, Wonder Woman 84 should have been this subtle of a costume. I really enjoyed the action. I like the kaiju battle. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I like the on the street toe-to-toe battle as well. I really liked this episode a lot. I liked reconnecting Marc and Steven, the scene between the two of them where Marc puts the heart on Steven's hand and is like, we're two, like we're not. I like that Steven later alludes that they're a package deal. Like, I love that it's like, okay, we started this series with Steven. I would hate to just get rid of him. And instead we embrace the fact that it's one body, but two guys.
Right.
I'm cool with that because I love the characters. So Oscar's acting, Ethan's acting, and May's acting, absolutely phenomenal. And the guy that played Khonshu, remind me his name again.
I actually don't know the voice of him.
Khonshu.
He kind of sounds like, well, actually,
F. Murray Abraham.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing performances. Khonshu, man, I like this series a lot. There were episodes stronger than others, but I would say if I'm rating just this episode, I would say it's a strong 8.5 out of 10 for me. I think the series as a whole, probably about the same, 8.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, 8.5. Like for the series and for the episode itself. I mean, I really enjoyed this entire series. I mean, the series finale, like again, I feel like it did stick the landing. It was a bit rushed, but I mean,
right.
But they did set up for a season 2. It would have been terrible if it's just like, okay, we're done, and then that's it. It's like they definitely set up for a season 2. So it's like they would be stupid not to. And like, we're
gonna figure out more about Layla. We're gonna figure out about how Jake Lockley got involved into this situation. And like I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean I wish we got just a little bit more action as Moon Knight, but like it is what it is. But this is more of like the psyche of like this is more of a personal story of the person, these two people who are, Moon Knight essentially. So it really kind of comes full circle now that we kind of have, it's an introduction to a new character. So you kind of have to put that into perspective. And it's like, well, as much as we want to see him in the suit, even for Daredevil season 3, Daredevil beats Kingpin in like his OG street suit. Like he doesn't do it with his, classic red costume. So it's like, that's cool. Like I'm fine with that. But yeah, overall, I'm really hoping we get a season 2 for Moon Knight, and I'll probably rewatch this. It was just so much fun. It was refreshing, just to have. I'm excited for Miss Marvel as well, but I really liked this character, like Moon Knight as a character, and just his psyche is so complex and the very layered characters all around. So there's so much room to grow with a lot of these characters. So I hope they really go
100%.
Yeah, for sure. So 8.5 for the episode as well. I believe that pretty much wraps up our episode here for Moon Knight episode 6 titled Gods and Monsters. Leo, again, thank you so much for coming on. I wanted to pass it back over to you so you can let everyone know what's coming up on your channel and what you're working on and where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Well, I will be dropping a Moon Knight finale reaction most likely tomorrow, Friday, or Monday. And then I also have a review coming up for Operation Mincemeat. And we're prepping for a lot here in May. Kenobi, Stranger Things. We got a lot around the corner. You can already find my Multiverse of Madness review up. And plenty of content around the corner, guys. So be prepared because Kenobi, we're not going to have a break for a bit here. I think once Kenobi starts, it's going to be Kenobi, Stranger Things, but Lightyear. It's just one after another. Thor, Love and Thunder, Miss Marvel,
Umbrella Academy.
We're going to be working. Umbrella Academy, The Boys. It's about to be insane. Yeah.
It's going to be. I'm hoping it's all good. That's all I can hope for.
Right. I'm like, hopefully we can survive. But if you are on YouTube, search up youtube.com/geekly goods. You can find your boy there making videos on the daily, or you can find me on TikTok at Leo Rydell GG and across other social media platforms at Leo Rydell GG as well. Thanks for having me on, by the way, bro. Like it's great to be back chatting with you.
Yeah, it's been a while. Everyone, make sure to hit Leo up with that HBO special. The Help a Brother Out special.
The Help a Brother Out special.
There you go.
Help your
the
boy
HBO
out.
special.
Hit that subscribe button. Ding that bell. Get the notifications, y'all. Come on over.
Exactly. We stand HBO as the one of the top tier streaming services on this show, because Netflix is. It's all right. It's all right. It used to be all reliable. I don't know about that anymore. But for us, what is out on the show, we actually have our Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness spoiler-free review that we did with Amanda over at AMX NDA Reviews that is out now on the podcast, as well as our Northmen review and our Massive Talent review that is out on the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, audio only, of course. And same as Leo, we got a lot coming up. I don't know if we're going to do Firestarter. Like we have Lightyear coming up, Stranger Things, Obi-Wan. We might do Halo. We're not entirely sure. I'm a little passive on that one, but there's so much coming up. And of course, you can find us over on Twitter and Instagram at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X for all of those sorts of announcements. And there's one thing we always ask people to do here is to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be, your mother, your brother, your lover, whoever it may be. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. Again, Leo, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a long time. We've just been so busy. I'm drained from this Star Wars ranking thing.
Oh, I bet. Not going through all that is a lot, but yeah, thanks for having me back on, dude. It was awesome.
For sure. And of course, everyone who is a big Star Wars fan, you can catch my definitive Star Wars ranking over on the In Session Film website. That is insessionfilm.com, where I rank 12 of pretty much the main 12 movies, including the Star Wars Clone Wars animated series that's in that list, Rogue One, and Solo Star Wars Stories. So definitely check that out. And that pretty much concludes today's episode. So we'll hope you guys have a great start to your week, and we will see you guys later on.
Go Beyond plus Ultra.
And that is a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you all for listening. And make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Leo. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in the next one.